In my past life, Lindsay and I were a renowned model couple in the military district. Although we had no children, we supported each other until old age. It wasn't until after my death that I found out the mutual support I thought we had was nothing but a joke. What he could never forget was the young girl of his dreams, love so strong that my son kept calling someone else mom. Love so intense that he married her less than a month after my death, returning to the 1980s, this time. I let go of myself and him. Sister-in-law, you're the lucky one. Look, as soon as Commander Lin finished his drill, he came back with breakfast. You don't even have to cook, Wang Li joked while washing clothes together. I stared at the man approaching, stunned to realize I had gone back 30 years. It had been 3 years since I married Lindsay, and it was also this year that I gave birth to my little baby. But I never got to see him before he passed away, due to postpartum hemorrhage. I could never conceive again. In an era where carrying on the family line was paramount, Lindsay not only resisted the pressure and didn't divorce me because of it, but also treated me even better than before. Every night, when the world was quiet and emotions ran deep, he would gently kiss my eyes and hold me tightly in his arms, as if I were a precious treasure, until my dying breath. I always felt blessed to have married Lindsay. After my death, consumed by my longing for Lindsay, my soul lingered in our home, unwilling to disperse. Little did I know, I would witness how my previous life had been a complete joke. Less than a month after his death, Lindsay grandly married his comrade's widow, Bai Mingyao. The red couplet's words, 30 years of separation, hard to write a song of longing, 100 years of true expectation, red candles rewrite dreams of love, deeply pierced my eyes. At the wedding, Lindsay passionately declared to Bai Mingyao, your eyes are still as clear as they were in your youth. In the days to come, I will repay you and our son doubly for what I failed to give before. I, Lindsay, pledge my eternal devotion to Bai Mingyao. It turns out that the happiness I believed in was nothing but a joke. The so-called care for a comrade's widow turned out to be this kind of care. Just as I was filled with regret for my poor judgment, Lindsay went through the motions of visiting my grave. And the words he spoke there made me want to kill him. When I was on the brink of death from massive bleeding, Lindsay handed my son over to Bai Mingyao. Simply because her son had just passed away from a fever and she couldn't bear the loss. He never considered how much ridicule I endured for being unable to have children in this era, and I carried the guilt for 30 years, always thinking it was my fault, until my death. My little treasure also called someone else mom for 30 years without knowing the truth. What are you thinking about? You're going to tear your clothes. Commander Lin is waiting for you. Hurry up and wash. Wang Li pushed me. I suddenly looked up and saw Lindsay smiling as he walked towards me with a lunchbox. He smiled gently and said, Song Chiao, are you done washing? I've already gotten breakfast from the canteen, let's go home and eat together. Oh, it was the same in my previous life. Using this gentleness to deceive me for a lifetime, no need. Before the words of refusal could finish, they were interrupted by a woman's voice from a distance. From afar, one could see a figure in a dress, and in the entire family compound, only Bai Mingyao would dress like that. Brother Lin, my flower stand collapsed. Could you come and take a look for me? Lindsay, who had been standing casually, tensed up, set his lunchbox aside, and ran over without even having the chance to say a word to me. Such incidents were countless in my previous life, and sometimes I couldn't bear it and would cry and make a fuss with him. He would never argue with me. He would just coldly stare at me, saying I couldn't even tolerate a widow of a comrade in arms, and that a military wife shouldn't be like this. Then he would turn around and start staying away from home, sleeping in his office. It always ended with me apologizing and admitting my mistake. Looking back, I deserved it. Fortunately, fate gave me a second chance, and I won't let myself become a laughingstock this time. I'm curious to see if they can stay true to each other without me in the middle. All I want is my little treasure. Fortunately, he's only 3 months old, so there's still time for everything. Right now, there are 2 things I need to do. One is to find evidence proving that Xiaobao is my son. The other is to find a job so that I can support my son and me after divorcing Lindsay. At this thought, I left my freshly washed wife. Wang Li, could you take my clothes back for me? I have something urgent to deal with. With that, he took off running, ignoring her shouting behind him. After wandering around the hospital like a headless fly for half a day, I finally managed to find a doctor. It turns out that there's now an advanced technology where, if you have a child's hair and compare it with your own, you can determine if the two are mother and child. However, this technology isn't available at the military hospital. If we want to do it, they'll have to send the samples to a big city, which would take at least a month round trip. Hearing this, I was so excited I almost jumped for joy. I've missed out on 30 years, so I can certainly wait a little longer, little bow. Wait a little longer for mommy, after resolving a long-standing worry. I felt much lighter on my feet. I began searching for places to work near the military district. The military district has collaborated with many industries here to address the employment issues of the villagers and military spouses. Sure enough, I soon saw several job postings. In the end, I stopped at the gate of the textile factory. In my previous life, I almost got a job there. But Lindsay said he didn't want me to work so hard outside and didn't want to come home to an empty house. So I gave up the hard-won opportunity and spent my life as a housewife. A sharp pain like a needle pricks my chest as I think of this. This is the last time. From now on, there will only be Song Chiao, the woman who lived for Lindsay, who has been buried in her past life. As soon as I entered the office, I saw a crowd of people inquiring about the job openings. As expected, just like in my previous life, the textile factory is looking to hire people skilled in embroidery. Since the country now encourages earning foreign exchange, this traditional handicraft is exactly what foreigners love the most. Coincidentally, my grandmother's ancestors were palace embroiderers, and as the only girl in this generation, she passed all her skills down to me. But during those special years, I didn't dare to show this off, at most just mending clothes. Even Lindsay doesn't know I can embroider. Soon I found out that the task for this exam is to embroider a handkerchief. Everyone gets a handkerchief to take home, and it needs to be submitted in 3 days. The best one will be admitted. Sister-in-law, you're here looking for a job too. Does Commander Liu really let you? What's there to be willing or unwilling about? Chairman Mao said women hold up half the sky. I want to contribute my own strength to building our motherland. I ignored the teasing glances from the other sisters-in-law, squeezed into the crowd, grabbed a handkerchief, and filled out the application form. For the next 3 days, I embroidered handkerchiefs day and night. I didn't bother with any household chores. This matter is too important to me. 3 days later, the handkerchief was completed, and with excitement, I handed it over to the factory. Seeing the factory director's reluctance to let go, I knew my job was secure. Sure enough, after the textile factory announced the rankings, my name was at the top. My eyes nearly welled up with tears as I looked at the names on the red paper. I finally got my ticket to a new life. The next day, the sun was exceptionally bright, as if celebrating the new life that awaited me. To make a good impression on the people at the factory, I got up early and thoroughly groomed myself. To my surprise, as I entered the director's office with great excitement, I saw Lindsay there. Beside him stood Bai Mingyao in a pink dress, both of them smiling and thanking the director. The director looked up, startled, as I entered. Comrade Song, weren't you unable to report for duty due to health reasons? Hearing this, I laughed bitterly in anger. Director, I'm in perfect health. I could run 10 laps right now without a problem. If that's not an issue, I can start work immediately. The regimental commander glanced apologetically at Lindsay. I'm sorry, Comrade Song, but since it was Regiment Commander Lin himself who said you couldn't work, and he also recommended a suitable person, we've already completed the formalities just now. My nails dug deeply into my palm. So in my previous life, Lindsay had advised me not to work in order to pave the way for Bai Mingyao. This time, since he couldn't persuade me, he simply took it by force. I refused to accept this. The factory director scratched his head, his gaze shifting restlessly between the three of us. Let's proceed as just discussed. I'll handle the rest. Bye. I'll need you to take extra care of her, Lindsay said decisively to the factory director, then turned and grabbed my wrist, dragging me out of the office. Just before leaving the office, I gave Bai Mingyao a gentle smile, my eyes filled with undisguised malice. Suddenly, a wave of nausea surged up within me. I yanked my hand away from Lindsay and coldly stared at him. Why are you giving away the job I worked so hard for to someone else? Lindsay looked thoroughly annoyed. Song Chiao, what's wrong with not having to do anything at home? Mingyao has lost everything, and now she just wants to work to keep herself busy. Can't you be more generous? And what do you, a country girl, know about embroidery? Brother Lin, please don't argue with sister-in-law for my sake. I don't deserve this. If sister-in-law minds, I can give the job back to her. Bai Mingyao's eyes were slightly red, and she bit her lip, looking wronged. Mingyao, don't take it personally with her. This job was always meant for you, Lindsay said with a heartbroken look as he saw Bai Mingyao on the verge of tears. He turned to look at me with even more disgust, his tone filled with disappointment. Song Chiao, I thought you were sensible, but you've really let me down. Apologize to Mingyao right now. And let's just put this behind us. Seeing Bai Mingyao's triumphant gaze, I finally lost control and slapped Lindsay hard across the face. Fine. Let her have the job, we're getting a divorce. After saying that, I didn't look at their reactions and returned home in a daze. Little Bao, is mommy really useless? I lost my job, and you're still in her hands. Finally, I couldn't hold back and cried out loud. As if to release all of 2 lifetimes, I cried myself to sleep on the couch, until a blinding light woke me up. Song Qiao, you were so unreasonable today, acting like a shrew in public. Yet Mingyao didn't even hold it against you and even bought malted milk to visit you. It would be nice if you could be as understanding as her. At the door, Lindsay was still rambling on, but I couldn't hear a word he was saying. I stared fixedly at the child in Bai Mingyao's arms. I sprang up from the sofa and quickly walked over to Bai Mingyao, seemingly startled by my appearance. Bai Mingyao took 2 steps back, and Lindsay directly stood between us. What do you want now? Look at yourself. You're hardly presentable. Ignoring Lindsay's humiliation, I dug my nails into my thigh. Trying to calm myself down, I realize I was wrong today. I'm sorry to you and Comrade Bai. I just thought the baby was adorable and wanted to get a closer look. Oh right, sister-in-law just lost her child. As soon as the words left her mouth, Bai Mingyao seemed to realize her mistake and glanced at Lindsay apologetically. Seeing Lindsay's unnatural expression, I forced a smile. Can I hold the baby, this time? Lindsay didn't speak. Bai Mingyao handed the child to me. I held my little treasure tightly, but my heart was bleeding. While the 2 weren't paying attention, I quickly pulled out a few strands of hair from my little one's head. The child's wailing inevitably led Lindsay to humiliate me again, but I don't care anymore. As long as I get the evidence and bring my child back, I don't mind what you do. Carefully tucked away the hair. Early the next morning, I waited outside the doctor's office before they even arrived, and after an hour, I finally handed a bag to the doctor. What it contained was not only the proof of our mother-child bond, but also the beginning of our beautiful life together. I'd love to see if Bai Mingyao can still shower Lindsay with affection after discovering her child isn't real. After wrapping up matters at the hospital, I trudged back to the residential compound with leaden steps. With the textile factory job gone, I'll need to hunt for another one. Maybe it's just my imagination. But I kept catching the neighborhood wives stealing glances at me. In the end, it was Wang Li who cleared things up for me. Apparently there's a rumor going around that I tried to steal Bai Mingyao's job, but Lindsay, being fair-minded, didn't let me succeed. I couldn't help but laugh when I heard this. Wang Li gave my hand a light pat. How can you still laugh at a time like this? I don't believe for a second you'd steal someone's job. You won't even take an extra dumpling in the cafeteria. Tell me what really happened so I can set the record straight. If this keeps spreading, you'll become public enemy number 1 in our department. Seeing how indignant Wang Li was, I recounted the whole incident to her. As Wang Li listened, her expression gradually grew fierce. And in the end, she slapped her thigh hard. Those 2 shameless things, they should be thrown into a pig cage and drowned, she said, sticking out her tongue as if afraid I would be angry. Captain Lin must have been deceived by that little slut Bai Mingyao. He's usually the most considerate person, but don't worry, once he realizes the truth, he'll definitely regret it. Wait, in my previous life, I waited my whole life, until I was buried. And the person he loved the most was still Bai Mingyao. Alright, don't be mad, I'm fine. Let the people in the courtyard talk all they want. If someone is gullible enough to believe rumors, it's better to keep them at a distance. Otherwise, if she does something shady in the future and gets struck by lightning, it might drag us down with her. Seeing that I was fine, Wang Li finally left, reassured. Lindsay seems to be feeling guilty these days, coming home early every day to do this and that. Unlike before when he would visit the Bai family every day, claiming that since his comrade-in-arms is gone, Bai Mingyao's life is tough alone, and as a childhood friend, he naturally needs to take more care of her. Of course, if it weren't for her husband's death, you wouldn't have the chance to show off. You've always been her underdog from childhood to adulthood. Since the appraisal report wasn't obtained, Lindsay didn't bring it up, so I decided to temporarily put the divorce matter on hold. In the morning, I went to the river as usual to wash my clothes, but unexpectedly, I saw Director Zhao from the textile factory peeking in my direction. Director Zhao is here. Could it be to pursue the matter of Song Qiao impersonating someone else? Yes, with such a big scandal. I wonder how she has the nerve to stay in the family compound. It's all because Commander Lin and Comrade Bai are too kind. I set down the pestle in my hand, ignored the surrounding noises, and wiped my hands dry as I walked straight toward Director Zhao. Is there something I can help you with? Director Zhao, Comrade Song, I finally found you. I'm really sorry about what happened last time. You deserved that first place fair and square, but, well, you know, I must say, your Captain Lin has a high level of awareness, but he never mentioned that Comrade Bai doesn't know anything about embroidery. In fact, her basic sewing skills aren't even as good as those of our factory workers. You know, I was looking for a skilled embroiderer, not a diva to worship. Director Zhao's face contorted like a chrysanthemum as he poured out his grievances. Being a military man himself, he was used to speaking loudly, which meant the surrounding women all overheard his complaints. In an instant, everyone exchanged knowing glances, and the expressions on their faces were quite something to behold. What's the point of saying all this now? Director Zhao, my husband, Lao Lin, has high consciousness, and I can't compare to him. Hearing this, Director Zhao sighed. I really don't know what Commander Lin is thinking. Not helping his own wife is one thing, but giving her hard-earned job to an outsider. He may have high consciousness, but I've been utterly wronged. What else can he be thinking? Of course, true love conquers all. Suddenly, Director Zhao smacked his forehead hard. Oh. I came to see you for something important. I was just complaining. Hearing this, I suddenly looked up, my eyes sparkling as I gazed at Director Zhao. What's the matter, Director Zhao? Just spit it out already. You're still as impatient as ever, and I like that. The thing is, Bai Mengyao just isn't up to the task, but we've received a foreign exchange order from France for a peony embroidery. Unfortunately, our old embroiderer can't see clearly, and her hand is injured. I'm at my wit's end. So, what do you say? Will you take this order and help me out of this predicament? I can't offer you a position in the factory, but I'll give you 70% of the profit from this order, and we'll provide all the materials. Seeing my poker-faced reaction, Director Zhao said this with a pained expression. Moreover, this is also a chance to prove yourself. Once you complete this piece, no one will dare to gossip about you again. As he said this, Director Zhao raised his voice and glanced around at the sisters-in-law. I couldn't help but laugh at the amusing old man in front of me. Apart from Wang Li, this is the second person who cares about me and helps explain in the face of rumors. My good husband never even thought about defending me or refuting the rumors, and he would rather all the honors go to Bai Mengyao and all the blame fall on me. Alright, I agree. I'll take this order. Let's not waste any time. We need to go to the factory now to get the materials. This order has to be delivered in 15 days. Hearing this, I felt a wave of despair. 15 days. I'll have to work day and night. Seeing my worried expression, Director Zhao gave a nervous laugh. With 70% of the profit, and considering the current price of embroidery, we're earning foreign exchange from France. Maybe this order could cover my mother and me for a whole year. I can't afford to miss this opportunity. Once the embroidery is submitted, the money is in hand, and the report is out, I can divorce Lindsay. I'll take my little treasure far away from them. As I look forward to the wonderful life ahead, I walked towards the supply and marketing cooperative, because the factory was out of one color of embroidery thread, which is essential for the peony design, and luckily, my grandmother taught me more than just the art of embroidery. To my surprise, I saw Lindsay and Bai Mengyao at the supply and marketing cooperative. Bai Mengyao was wearing a light yellow dress and a pair of little leather shoes, looking very charming. Lindsay was holding up a pink dress, trying it on Bai Mengyao. They exchanged smiles from time to time. Bai Mengyao playfully tapped Lindsay's arm, eliciting a tender smile from him. It was so sweet to watch. No wonder Lindsay's allowance was always tight. As a regimental commander, our living conditions were even worse than those of the squad leaders under his command. So that's where everything is. I didn't mean to disturb them. I was just going to leave after buying what I needed, but Bai Mengyao caught me. Her fair, delicate face was full of panic. Sister-in-law, please don't misunderstand. Brother Lin is just accompanying me to buy things for the baby because there are so many, and I might have trouble carrying them all. It's okay, buy more. The baby is at a crucial stage of growth, and more items will be useful. If it's not enough, I still have Lindsay's allowance from last month. I pulled all the money out of my pocket and handed it to the sales clerk, while picking out several cute outfits and toys, completely ignoring the strange looks from the two of them. Buy the best for my little one, since Lindsay's money is just there to be spent. Chow chow, you're so kind. Seeing the sales clerk pack up all the bags, Lindsay was moved to step forward and hold my hand. Bai Mingyao's face fell instantly, and she forced a stiff smile. Brother Lu, you go and accompany sister-in-law for a stroll. I'll just buy what I need for the baby and head back first. Without even looking at me, she turned and left. Seeing the pale face of the woman he loved, Lindsay felt a pang of, chow chow, you go back by yourself. Mengyao has too much stuff, I'll see her off. He quickly hurried after her. Seeing him like that, I felt surprisingly calm. I picked up my things and went home. This is going to be a tough battle ahead, so for the next 15 days, I worked tirelessly on the peony embroidery, taking short naps when tired, eating a few bites of steamed bread when hungry, and working day and night. After enduring a week of cold stoves and empty pots at home, Lindsay finally couldn't take it anymore. I thought you had grown up, but you're still so petty, Song Chiao. Do you really have to compete with Mengyao over embroidery? I'm doing my own thing. What does Bai Mengyao have to do with it? Are you planning to give this embroidery to her too? I was just joking, but I didn't expect a hint of embarrassment to flash across Lindsay's face. After a long pause, he replied, "What are you talking about? I'm just venting some frustration from having to eat in the canteen every day. Forget it. I can't be bothered to argue with you. If you want to embroider, go ahead. I'd like to see what kind of flower you can come up with." Being from the village, with that, he turned and left, his steps somehow looking a bit flustered. Finally, after days of relentless effort, the peony embroidery was completed. A quick check revealed no major issues, and it could be handed over to Director Zhao tomorrow. Just looking at my mysteriously larger waistband, I couldn't help but laugh wryly. I was already skinny, and now I'm really going to look like a skeleton. Before I knew it, I drifted off to sleep. Having completed the task, I slept so soundly that I didn't wake up until the sun was shining on my bed. After washing up, I was ready to take the packaged embroidery to Director Zhao, but I couldn't find it. Could it be that I misplaced it yesterday due to a momentary lapse? So I turned the house upside down, finding all sorts of random stuff, but no sign of the embroidery. Impossible, how could it be gone? Something must have gone wrong. I paced back and forth in my house, trying to remember. Suddenly, it hit me, and a wave of sadness washed over me. I couldn't afford to be sad. I had to run to the textile factory. "Hey, Xiaosong, you're here, let me see your embroidery. By the way, I submitted a peony design too, and it's truly exquisite. Even the master craftsman in the factory can't match it. It's quite similar to the handkerchief you submitted last time." As soon as I entered, Director Zhao warmly called me over. But I can't hear anything now. My eyes are fixed on the embroidery Bai Mengyao submitted. It's unmistakably the peony design I worked on for 15 days without sleep, except now it's under someone else's name. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I thought I was immune to all harm, but I didn't realize how little I truly knew about my husband of over 30 years. For the sake of his beloved, knowing how important this embroidery was to me, he actually had the audacity to steal it from his own wife. People around me kept praising Bai Mingyao's exceptional embroidery skills, and I had previously misunderstood her. It turns out she's a master, and their chatter was giving me a headache. "Sister-in-law, have you brought your embroidery, or are you here to apologize because you couldn't finish it?" "It's okay though, sister-in-law. Take a look at this peony embroidery I made, you might get some inspiration." Seeing Bai Mingyao's smug face, the tension in my mind finally snapped. I rushed to her in a few steps, grabbed her hair with my left hand, and kept slapping her face with my right. I beat her so hard she curled up on the ground. Just in time, I gave her a hard shove, watched her fall to the ground, and without hesitation, I sat on her, slapping her face repeatedly with both hands. "Come on, aren't you tough enough, you shameless thief, stealing my man, my job, and now my embroidery. I've never met anyone as despicable as you in all my life. Come on, get up. What are you hiding for, you bitch?" Bai Mengyao didn't expect me to dare to strike in front of so many people, and she was instantly stunned. The crowd around was intimidated by my presence, and for a moment, no one dared to step forward to stop me. It was quite a satisfying beating, slap after slap, and soon her face was swollen like a pig's head. Some of the resentment I've accumulated over 2 lifetimes has finally dissipated. "Song Chiao, what are you doing?" A furious male voice rang out behind me. Lindsay rushed forward, grabbed my collar, and yanked me off Bai Mengyao, completely ignoring whether I was being choked. "I thought that although you came from the countryside, at least you knew some manners. I never expected you to fight like a shrew. You've really disappointed me, Brother Lin. I don't know what I did to upset sister-in-law, but she just rushed up and started hitting me. It really hurts." Bai Mengyao tugged at Lindsay's sleeve. Looking utterly wronged, Bai Mengyao, normally a delicate beauty, would have been endearing if she were acting coquettishly like this, but now, with her face swollen like a pig's head, her girlish antics were just a bit ridiculous. Sure enough, there were people in the crowd who shared my view and couldn't help but laugh out loud, hearing the mocking laughter and discussions around her. Bai Mingyao's hands froze, and she stood still. "Don't you know why I did this?" I said coldly to Lindsay as the show ended. Lindsay looked at me with obvious impatience. The job was for Meng Yao. Do you really hate me this much? At this point, this man still wants to dodge the issue, but I'm not the kind of person who falls for the same trick twice. Lindsay, you probably don't know, but I had already anticipated you would do this, so I made a mark on this embroidery. Hearing this, both Lindsay and Bai Mengyao looked panicked. I don't understand what you're talking about. After a while, Lindsay said, trying to appear calm, all right, carry on, Miss Bai, you claim this embroidery is yours. Do you happen to know what stitching technique it uses? Hearing me call her out, Bai Mengyao's expression changed. What's the big deal about stitching techniques? This is a skill passed down in my family. I don't even know which school it belongs to. At this point, everyone seemed to catch on and started scrutinizing Bai Mengyao and Lindsay. All present were from the textile factory and understood that embroidery relies on, but if you don't even know which school you belong to, it's like not knowing your bread is made from strong flour. I didn't give them a chance to argue. And continued, you might not know this, but my family has been in the embroidery business for generations. We also have a unique skill of leaving a mark on our own works, which is invisible to anyone but ourselves. Without looking at their ashen faces again, I stepped forward and pointed out the mark I had left. The onlookers crowded around to take a look, and they found it to be true. For a moment, the looks on their faces were filled with disdain. Director Zhao's face turned even darker. I thought I had wronged you and was planning to apologize, but I never expected you to steal someone else's work. My small workshop can't accommodate a big shot like you. You should leave today. And Commander Lin, I used to respect you as a man, so I was willing to listen to your thoughts. But sometimes, you need to keep your eyes open and not let your heart be clouded by greed, or you'll regret it later. Regret. How could Lindsay regret it when he can stand side by side with the one he loves? Enough, it's just a piece of embroidery. What's so great about it? Meng Yao may not be able to create something like that, but she's kind and innocent. If I hadn't begged her, she wouldn't have taken Song Qiao's embroidery to hand it in. If you have any issues, come at me. And Song Qiao, do you really have to be so petty? It's so small-minded and ignorant. Just apologize to Meng Yao today. And this whole thing will be over. I won't even hold it against you for hitting him. To everyone's surprise, instead of reflecting on his actions after hearing Director Zhao's words, Lindsay stepped in front of Bai Mengyao, speaking passionately and indignantly, completely oblivious to the varied expressions on everyone's faces as he finished speaking. Perfect. I was just looking for a reason to divorce Lindsay. Hearing this, I pretended to be angry and shed tears. Then went up and kicked Lindsay twice. I won't apologize to your mother. You're entangled with this little slut, and now you want me to apologize. Why don't you just kill me and go live happily ever after with her? How dare you use camaraderie as an excuse for such disgusting behavior? So, you're taking care of your comrade's widow by getting into her bed, huh? I furiously scratched Lindsay's face over and over, to protect Bai Mengyao. He didn't dare to fight back and could only let me hit him, and you, Bai Mengyao, all you do is act like a delicate little flower. As soon as your husband died, you started looking for the next man. You're always exerting all your energy on someone else's husband, and you can't even take proper care of your child. Thinking of my child, I struck even harder. In the end, Director Zhao and the others pulled me away, afraid that I might seriously injure someone and get into trouble myself. The two of them also took the opportunity to sneak away in the chaos. Although they left, with so many people present, their reputation is ruined. You little wildcat, you're fierce. The crowd dispersed, and Director Zhao looked at me with a complex expression. I chuckled foolishly, exchanged my payment at the bank for a passbook, and then strolled back to the residential compound. To my surprise, even more people were sneaking glances at me this time. Song Qiao, well done, Song Qiao. We support you. As I looked at the sisters-in-law cheering me on, a warm feeling flowed through my chest, and it felt really nice. Worried that I wouldn't be able to handle Lindsay at home, despite my repeated refusals, the sisters-in-law still escorted me to my house and refused to leave, staring at me from the courtyard. Xiao Song, do whatever you want inside. If anything happens, just shout, and the sisters-in-law will rush in to help you beat that shameless man. The speaker was the wife of political commissar Li from the military district, who was usually the leader among the sisters-in-law in the housing compound. I didn't expect even her to be involved this time. Thank you, sisters-in-law. You wait for my good news. With that, I strode proudly through the door. Inside the dimly lit room, Lindsay sat on the sofa, his expression unreadable. Song Qiao, don't make a fuss. Meng Yao and I grew up together. so it's natural for me to want to take a little extra care of her, go to the radio station tomorrow and clear up the rumors, saying it was all a misunderstanding on your part about me and Mingyao. This matter will be over then. Otherwise, if this ruins Mingyao's reputation and delays my promotion, how can you live with yourself? Lindsay scratched his head fiercely and spoke in a gruff voice. Seeing him like this, I felt a sense of satisfaction. Lindsay, I want a divorce. Lindsay seemed to be in a daze, staring at me blankly. Divorce? What can you, a country girl, do without me? Scavenging would be better than staying with you, you piece of trash. If you don't divorce, the entire compound will know Bai Mingyao seduced a married man. If you do, no one will gossip about the two of you together anymore. Lindsay was tempted upon hearing this, as if fearing Bai Mingyao's reputation would be tarnished. Lindsay submitted the report that very afternoon. The next day, we went and got our divorce certificate. After 2 lifetimes, I've finally shaken off this nightmare of mine. Once I get Xiaobao back, I can embrace my new life. On the day I received the test results, I couldn't stop the tears from streaming down my face. My little one is 4 months old now, finally coming back to Mama's arms, quickly gathering the paternity test results and evidence of Lindsay and Bai Mingyao's affair. I knocked on the political commissar's door. It was Mrs. Li who answered. That's right, not just the paternity report, I've now got their explicit love letters too. Ironically, I owe this discovery to them stealing my embroidery. Otherwise I'd never have found these damning letters at home. Upon hearing my purpose and seeing the evidence, Commissar Li's face darkened while Mrs. Li fumed, muttering, loudly, we can't keep such degenerates corrupting our unit's integrity. They're nothing but rotten apples. If they don't get severely punished, it'll break the hearts of us military wives holding down the fort. Who knows if you're all birds of a feather? Political Commissar Li chuckled helplessly at this. Don't worry, Comrade Song. I'll handle this matter impartially, otherwise my old lady at home would never let me hear the end of it. Hearing this, Sister Li and I exchanged knowing smiles. Given the gravity of the situation, emergency measures were taken and the outcome was announced swiftly. When I went to take my child back, Bai Mingyao clung to him desperately, screaming at the top of her lungs, this is my baby, Lindsay gave him to me, so he's mine. So she actually knew this wasn't her child all along. She probably only kept my little one around to have more chances to see Lindsay. Afraid of hurting the child, I didn't dare snatch him away. Thankfully, a soldier noticed the commotion, circled behind Bai Mingyao, and knocked her out. Tears of joy streamed down my face as I held my long-lost child in my arms. Beside me, Lindsay wore an expression of utter disbelief. No wonder, he'd always believed he was Bai Mingyao's savior, only to realize he'd been fooling himself all along. Just as I was leaving with my child, Lindsay came running after us. Darling, I'm so sorry, I was wrong, I must have been out of my mind. Bai Mingyao completely deceived me. Please forgive me, let's remarry and raise our baby together. I swear I'll treat you and our child right, I'm begging you. Seeing my unchanged expression, Lindsay grew desperate, his eyes bloodshot. He collapsed to his knees with a thud. Sweetheart, please, I can't live without you and our baby. Ignoring the pleading cries behind me, I held my baby tight and walked away from this compound without looking back, this place that had witnessed lifetimes of my sorrow and suffering. With my seed money in hand and my little one cradled close, I boarded the southbound train where a brand new life awaited me. Story 2. I was involved in a car accident on my way to a prenatal checkup, and when I woke up, my unborn child was dead. I was devastated, crying all day, only to unexpectedly discover that the accident was orchestrated by my husband. He deliberately tampered with the brake system, all to obtain the umbilical cord blood of my unborn child to save his son from his ex-wife, who had leukemia. Their child was saved and grew up healthy and strong, and the family lived in harmony. My child never even got to see their mother before passing away, and I was left disabled and unable to care for myself after the car accident. I went to confront them, only to be humiliated, cursed at, and beaten to death by the two of them. I opened my eyes and found myself reborn, back to the day of my prenatal checkup. This time, I touched my unborn child and silently vowed, since fate has spared us, let them perish. Hello everyone, welcome to Twilight Whispers. Wan, I've got something urgent today. Will you be alright going to your prenatal checkup alone? As I opened my eyes, my husband Gu Xinghe was gazing at me with tender concern. I found myself curled up on the couch, enveloped in soothing piano melodies. My heavy belly pulsed with faint kicks, while my paralyzed legs, normally numb, kept rhythmic time against all odds. But hadn't I already? My gaze caught the calendar on the wall. It suddenly dawned on me, I've been reborn, right back to the day of my prenatal checkup. This day shall mark the descent of my soul into darkness. What's wrong? Is the baby kicking you again? Seeing me clutching my stomach, Gu Xinghe wrapped his arm around me affectionately and whispered in my ear, "No, I'll be fine going alone. I'll just head back to tidy up my room first." Memories from my past life flooded back, filling me with disgust as I instinctively pushed him away. On my way to the bedroom, I discreetly took his frequently used backpack with me when he wasn't looking. As I finished packing clothes, Gu Xinghe's impatient voice faintly carried from the living room, "Will you stop rushing me? You're anxious. I'm 10 times more frantic than you. Every corner of Sichuan answers to me. Where could she possibly run? Relax. In our past life, he claimed it was just debtors skipping town. But now I see things clearly." The person on the other end of the line was his ex-wife, Su Xiaomei. Their 8-year-old son has leukemia and wants to use my unborn baby's cord blood as a lifeline, knowing I still have 2 months until my due date and would never agree to an early C-section. They've been scheming against me. As I pushed the door open, Gu Xinghe hastily stuffed his phone into his pocket and lit a cigarette. Spotting the luggage in my hand, he frowned. "Honey, why are you bringing that to your prenatal checkup?" "Why bother? Obviously to guard against you, you demon." But I still explained patiently, "The due date's in 2 months, so I wanted to visit my mom after the prenatal checkup. It'll only get harder later." Gu Xinghe seemed hesitant. He stood by the window, gazing at the distant parking lot, then exhaled a thick cloud of smoke. "All right then, let me walk you out." Gu Xinghe insisted on seeing me to the car. He loaded the luggage into the trunk, and after seeing me settled in the car, was giving driver Xiao Lu some instructions when his phone rang. It must be Su Xiaomei calling again. He rushed off in a hurry. "Madam, please fasten your seatbelt." Master Lu reminded me with a smile. I scoffed, as if buckling up makes any difference. "What, you want us and the baby in my belly to die prettier deaths?" Master Lu froze, probably shocked by my bluntness. He lowered his head, visibly flustered. "Madam, I know you don't mean what you say." I cut him off. "How much is Xinghe paying you to betray me?" "I'll double it." "What money are you talking about?" "Ma'am, to be honest with you, my wife's cancer surgery is coming up soon and I'm in a hurry to get home, though I don't understand why Mr. Gu specifically told me to drive faster. I believe nothing's more important than getting you and the young master safely to your destination." Master Lu came from the countryside, a simple and honest man. He rubbed his hands nervously, but didn't seem to be lying. Memories from my past life involuntarily surfaced in my mind. The car lost control during the turn. Master Lu desperately pulled the handbrake, causing it to roll over and get rear-ended. He died on the spot, and I was left disabled. During the inspection, they said there was an issue with the brake system. Something felt off because the car had just been serviced days before. After some digging, I discovered Gu Xinghe had tampered with it. During the audit, I discovered Gu Xing had given Master Lu's wife a substantial condolence payment. That's why I always believed Master Lu intended his death to secure medical funds for his wife. But now I understand, he too was deceived by Gu Xinghe. Gu Xinghe really went all out. To absolve himself completely, he didn't hesitate to sacrifice innocent people and stage a car accident. With that thought, I slipped the bank card into Master Lu's pocket. "There's $500,000 in here. No need to drive me anymore. Go home, your wife must need you badly right now. I just hope you'll keep this between us." Master Lu refused to accept it no matter what. I forced the bank card into his pocket and pushed him out of the car. He knocked on the window, eyes brimming with tears. "Madam, you're a kind soul. You and your child will be blessed with lifelong peace." "Yes, absolutely." I hurried down the path with my luggage, hearing rustling sounds behind me. It was Gu Xinghe's bodyguards. It seems his surveillance covers my every move. They're determined to make their move today no matter what. The Gu family's influence is too vast, running would be pointless. There'll be no peace until evil men breathe their last. I caressed my belly, soothing the unborn child I'd never met yet cherished with all my heart. "In my past life, I failed to protect you and myself, letting those monsters have their way, but don't worry, this time, I'll make sure they pay with their lives." I hailed a taxi, deliberately raising my voice. "Driver, Provincial Maternal and Child Health Hospital." Inside the private consultation room, Dr. Sun examined the 4D ultrasound with a grave expression. "Miss Fu, please have a seat and rest here. I'll be back shortly." He handed me a glass of warm water thoughtfully as he spoke. I took a small sip. After he left, I spat the water back into the glass. Then I vigorously rinsed my mouth with bottled water and poured it all onto the balcony flowers. In my past life, I was betrayed by those closest to me. This time around, I trust no one. I sent the secretly recorded 4D ultrasound to my younger sister. She's also an outstanding obstetrician. Sis, the fetus looks perfectly normal. What's wrong? Just as I suspected, Dr. Son was bribed. I'll tell you when we get back, calmly. I took out my earbuds from the bag. Earlier this morning, I'd secretly sewn the listening device into the lining of Gu Xinghe's favorite bag. The wiretap picked up Su Xiaomei's tearful voice. When will the surgery be? Nan can't wait any longer. Dr. Son stammered. Mr. Gu, I saw Miss Fu drink the medicated water, but the fetus remains healthy. If we perform a C-section 2 months early, the baby would most likely not survive. Gu Xinghe seemed hesitant. Xiaomei, can't we think of another way? Another way, if there were alternatives, would I be coming to you? Su Xiaomei's voice grew urgent. So what if she lost her baby? She can always have another one, can't she? But I can't conceive anymore. Nan is my whole life. If anything happens to him, I won't survive either. Her words made my blood boil with rage. Just because she's infertile, she thinks she has the right to take my child's life. What's holding you back? Don't tell me you're actually feeling sorry for her. Su Xiaomei was sobbing uncontrollably, gasping for breath between cries. Gu Xinghe's voice turned icy. Of course not. I'm just concerned that forcing the issue might blow things out of proportion and tarnish the Gu family's reputation. But I can't worry about that now. Dr. Son, let's prep for surgery. After hearing their conversation, I immediately called the police. Shortly after hanging up, footsteps echoed down the hallway. I feigned unconsciousness on the hospital bed. The door creaked open. Gu Xinghe, worried I might wake, suggested Dr. Son administer another dose. My sudden awakening startled Dr. Son, who was holding the syringe. How did you? He glanced at the empty cup on the table, visibly puzzled. Losing my temper wouldn't help. Buying time was the smarter move. I dozed off while waiting. How's the baby doing? When I saw Gu Xinghe behind him, I feigned surprise. Oh honey, what brings you here? I thought you were busy. Now that's someone who's seen the world. Gu Xinghe remained perfectly composed, his expression unchanged. He sat beside me, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder with visible sorrow. Dr. Son said the baby's condition isn't good, so I came immediately, seizing the opportunity. Dr. Son quickly interjected. Exactly, Miss Fu. I called Mr. Gu earlier because I was concerned you might not be able to handle this. The baby has congenital heart disease. We strongly recommend considering termination. What? Ruan. I also struggled to accept this news when I first heard it, but I believe you feel the same as I do. We wouldn't want our child to suffer from birth, right? Just imagining him drowning in medications, unable to play sports or even run safely. It's too cruel. We can't be that selfish. If not for this second chance at life, I might have fallen for his strong arms and flawless acting. But now, seeing through his hypocrisy just makes me sick. I shook my head. Darling, isn't heart disease treatable? With the Gu family's wealth and connections, getting our child a heart transplant shouldn't be difficult, right? You know he's been inside me for 8 months. At first I couldn't keep anything down from morning sickness, then I spent night after night sleepless. I've endured so much, but I've made it through. We listened to his heartbeat together, picked his name, joyfully awaited his arrival, and now you'd actually consider abandoning him. Those last 3 words nearly choked me as I forced them out. Gu Xinghe's face turned ashen. Of course I can't bear to, but, stop it already. Are these test results accurate? Could it just be that the baby hasn't developed enough for this stage? Can't we just wait and observe a bit longer? Gu Xinghe kept a straight face while still trying to persuade me. I'd been patiently reasoning with him this whole time. Then suddenly, the door slammed open. Su Xiaomei burst through the door. Clutching a gleaming silver fruit knife. Gu Xinghe, why are you still wasting words with her? If she won't consent to the C-section, I'll help her make the decision. With that, she lunged toward me. Gu Xinghe swiftly intercepted her. Su Xiaomei struggled in vain before collapsing to her knees, pressing the knife's point against her own throat. Gu Xinghe, must Nan and I both die before your eyes for you to make up your mind? She wept with such heart-wrenching despair that it moved all who saw her. Deeply affected, Gu Xinghe helped Su Xiaomei to her feet. In his eyes, Su Xiaomei was a devoted mother, but I knew better. She was selfish and cruel to the core. After they killed my child, I confronted them with the truth. She slapped me hard and sneered. My son is the eldest heir of the Gu family. That bastard child of yours is nothing but a vessel to prolong his life. Fearing I'd cause trouble, she and Gu Xinghe pushed me down the stairs to my death. But judging by Gu Xinghe's current demeanor, he won't let her act recklessly. I withdrew my hand from reaching for the switchblade in my bag, pretending to be frightened as I hid behind Gu Xinghe. Honey, what is she saying? Gu Xinghe noticed faint traces of blood on Su Xiaomei's neck. Flustered, he grabbed my wrist abruptly. Be good, Wan. We really can't keep this child. But we'll have others. No, I don't agree. I mustered all my strength and sank my teeth hard into his hand. Gu Xinghe tensed up in pain but didn't let go, shooting Dr. Son a meaningful glance. Quit dawdling, hurry up. Seeing this, Su Xiaomei also stood up to lend a hand. Several people pinned me down forcefully. Just as the sedative needle was about to pierce my skin, the police arrived. Barefoot, I ran to them, pointing at the people inside while sobbing uncontrollably. They were trying to kill me and my unborn child. Inside the police station, the forensic officer handed me the test results. Ms. Fu, the residue in the cup wasn't a sedative. It was just calming herbal medicine. Dr. Son said that water wasn't meant for you, but we can't verify if that's true. I pointed at Gu Xinghe. But he forced me to get a C-section. Gu Xinghe chuckled while pointing at my belly. That's my flesh and blood too. Why would I force you into a C-section? I gestured toward Dr. Son. They're clearly colluding, claiming my baby has congenital heart disease and recommending termination. But medical professionals I consulted confirmed my child is perfectly healthy. Dr. Son paused thoughtfully. Ms. Fu, if you question my diagnosis, we can certainly re-examine the results. There's no need to involve the police. I turned and pointed at Su Xiaomei. What about her? She barged into the ward with a knife trying to kill me. Su Xiaomei was utterly aggrieved. Fu Ruan, how dare you make such baseless accusations? I was just desperate to save my son and wanted to ask Gu Xinghe, his biological father, for help. She pointed at her own neck, and clearly the knife was pointed at myself. Okay. The three of them corroborated each other's stories. As if I'm the one with persecution complex. After leaving the police station, they all got in the car and drove off. Gu Xinghe said with a darkened expression, Ruan, since you already know everything, why keep pretending? Aren't you the one who's pretending? Frowning, he lowered his voice. Ruan, I was wrong to lie to you, but Nan desperately needs that cord blood. Could you please be reasonable? It's just one unborn child. If you want, we can have 10 more, like hell I would. What a goddamn thing to say. Both born and unborn are lives. At least Nan got to see 8 years of this world, but my unborn child was killed before even laying eyes on its own mother. I locked eyes with Gu Xinghe. And what if I refuse? His gaze was fathomless as a deep pool, his voice cutting like ice. When Gu Xinghe wants something, he gets it. You have no choice. Fu Ruan, don't force me to take drastic measures. Since we've come this far, then don't blame me for what happens next. In an instant, I flashed a smile and slipped my arm through his. Xinghe, you know I love you dearly and would do anything for you. Why didn't you just say so earlier? Was all this subterfuge really necessary? You're right, it's not like we can't have another child. I'll agree to give Nanan the cord blood, but you'll have to meet one condition. Gu Xinghe didn't expect me to consent so readily. Name your price. A mansion, luxury cars. Anything's on the table. She frowned, but... Are you really willing to have a C-section 2 months early? My face showed reluctance. What if you're unwilling? But Nanan is your son too. My terms are simple. I don't trust domestic doctors. I want to seek specialists abroad. I wasn't wrong about that. Foreign countries always seem more advanced in these morally questionable technologies. Gu Xinghe agreed to my terms without hesitation. He booked flights overnight and boarded the plane with me, heavily pregnant, along with Su Xiaomei and her child, inside the cabin, wearing a mask and visibly exhausted. Gu Wennan glared at me with undisguised hostility. He whispered to Su Xiaomei, Mom, what if she backs out? I'm terrified of dying abroad. Su Xiaomei patted his frail shoulders in reassurance. Don't worry, if she dares to play tricks, your father will make sure she and that bastard in her wound join you in the grave. I closed my eyes with a cold smile, gently stroking my belly. Oh my baby, they probably still don't realize, the moment they boarded that plane, their lives were already counting down. The plane touched down in Chicago. Gu Xinghe immediately purchased 2 villas. To prevent my escape, he stationed over 20 bodyguards outside the villa to protect me. That night, while he was showering, I managed to get hold of his phone. These are his chat records with Su Xiaomei, Xinghe. Once we've collected the cord blood, we're getting remarried, no matter how much she protests. Gu Xinghe, obviously, if it weren't to save Nan, why would I have faked divorcing you to marry her? No wonder Su Xiaomei called my child a medical instrument for saving lives. Back when they were fighting, Gu Xinghe pursued me under the pretense of being single just to spite her. Using his father's death less than 3 years prior as an excuse, he refused to hold a wedding ceremony for me. The moment he found out I was pregnant, he vanished without a trace. Soon after, he confessed he was still married. For our child's sake, I accompanied him to finalize his divorce before registering our own marriage, so Nanan had already been diagnosed with leukemia back then. Keep scrolling down, she won't get the chance to make trouble anymore. Didn't she insist on coming abroad, then let her stay here forever? It seems Gu Xinghe agreed to let me go abroad just to keep me from coming back. I smirked as I changed the expert's number he had booked to my brother-in-law Chihi's. Then I sent a message to my sister Fu Rongrong. Are you ready? My sister replied instantly. Sis, let's do this. My faint smile reflected on the darkened phone screen. Perfect. The show's about to begin. Gu Wennan's condition has worsened. The surgery was moved up a few days ahead of schedule. I suggested going out for a stroll. Gu Xinghe firmly disagreed, fearing that any mistake could ruin the plan. I pouted with, I want to buy some clothes for the baby. He remained expressionless. I caressed my belly with a trembling voice. If the baby really doesn't make it and leaves, how heartbroken would he be to know that his dad couldn't even bear to buy him a single piece of clothing? What if he comes looking for you later? I whispered into the back of his ear as I spoke. Gu Xinghe's arm instantly broke out in goosebumps. He looked a bit uncomfortable. Didn't the experts say that if you give a specific drug to a baby born 2 months early, it will promote cell growth and the baby will survive healthily? I gave a cold laugh. If such a miraculous drug really existed, which mother wouldn't want to give birth to her child as soon as possible? It was just something my brother-in-law made up. Perhaps fearing I'd change my mind, he grabbed the outfit and summoned all his bodyguards inside. Just a piece of clothing. Our Gu family could buy this entire mall without batting an eye. Let's wrap this up quickly. Though visibly reluctant, Gu Xinghe agreed anyway to avoid my potential tantrum. Inside the shopping mall, although I was pregnant, I still managed to shop for over an hour. Gu Xinghe was getting a bit impatient. I smiled and swayed his arm, cooing, just one more, and then we'll go home. I picked up a maternity outfit and went into the fitting room. His bored expression lingering. Sis, it's been 10 years, I've missed you so much. As soon as I walked in, my sister Furong hugged me tightly. In the cramped fitting room, 2 identical faces stared back from the mirror, except one had a baby bump, and the other didn't. Yes, my sister Furong and I are twins. Besides my parents, no one can tell us apart. Plus, Furong is broad-minded and plump, which makes her indistinguishable from me when I was pregnant. Gu Xinghe knows I have a biological sister living abroad, but I never told him we look exactly the same. Didn't he secretly swap my baby in his previous life? So in this life, I'll repay him in his own coin. Rongrong, don't you have any doubts about my reincarnation? Furong quickly put on my makeup and tied the fake pregnancy belly around her waist. Sister, the day you passed away, I had a dream. I dreamed that Gu Xinghe tampered with the brakes, causing you to have a sudden car accident. Instead of rushing to operate on you, covered in blood, they first rushed to perform a cesarean section to take the baby. Later, you were unable to move in your wheelchair, and that despicable couple pushed you down the stairs. Your blood and your nephew's blood stained the entire dream. We were all crying, but they were laughing. Fu Rongrong gritted her teeth. Scumbag and bitch, murderers. They deserve to die, yet, I still worry about her and Chi-He. Furong held my hand. Sister, we're not afraid. In America, anything done for freedom can be understood. On the day of the surgery, I was pushed into the delivery room. Su Xiaomei breathed a sigh of relief, leaning on Gu Xinghe's arm and taunting. Fu Wanwan really loves you, but her brain isn't quite up to par. You're pretty heartless not to feel sorry for her. She's just a plaything. How can she compare to you? The nurse said Nanan's nosebleed won't stop, and she needs to go into the chamber immediately. Su Xiaomei was uneasy about the bodyguard and, gritting her teeth, entrusted Gu Xinghe. Keep an eye on Fu Wanwan, and once we get the umbilical cord blood, everything will be over. Before entering the chamber, she encouraged Gu Wennan. Don't worry, son, your parents will wait for you. What no one expected, however, was, I, who had been waiting in the delivery room and was about to undergo a cesarean section, suddenly disappeared from the operating table. Gu Xinghe went mad. He frantically searched the operating room, cursing loudly. The bodyguards immediately reviewed the surveillance footage at the entrance, but apart from a few nurses in masks coming and going, there was no sign of a pregnant woman, with bloodshot eyes. He roared at the hospital director. Where is the person? How did a living person just disappear? The dean couldn't understand what he was going on about, so he called the police directly. This surgery was originally done across departments in secret. and he had to promise the experts to keep it confidential. It was publicly stated to be a normal bone marrow donation, but in fact, it was a cord blood treatment. But Su Xiaomei cried out, urging Gu Xinghe to find someone. Gu Xinghe had no choice but to reveal everything. The dean mumbled something, and the translator explained. The dean said that the expert you mentioned left for abroad for further studies yesterday. Gu Xinghe was dumbfounded, slumped on the ground, his face ashen. Who was it that was constantly in contact with me and agreed to the surgery? Su Xiaomei slapped Gu Xinghe hard across the face. Gu Xinghe, is that how unreliable you are at handling things? You got the wrong doctor. But how could you lose track of a grown person like that? She was pulled away by the police but continued shouting at the top of her lungs. Nan Nan has already gone into the chamber. If we can't find Fu Ruanan, he's done for. Done for. Gu Xinghe, covering his swollen face, looked panicked and grabbed the police officer. My wife mysteriously disappeared from this hospital. She's pregnant. Please help me find her. The officers conducted a thorough search of every department, but found nothing. Gu Xinghe was so desperate he wanted to tear up the floor of the maternity ward, but they didn't know. Fu Rongrong took off her fake pregnancy belly after entering the operating room, changed into a nurse's uniform, and walked out confidently. She just came in and is complaining to me about how unbearably hot the fake pregnancy belly is. Chihi, her brother-in-law, soon returned with several bags of groceries. He tossed the snapped SIM card into the trash, rolled up his sleeves, and started preparing the vegetables. Didn't you crave hot pot, sis? Let's have it for lunch. This kind of surgery is morally wrong, and the police can't do anything about it either. I can't go out. So Furong took an extended leave to stay with me. A few weeks have passed, and everything is fine on my end. Meanwhile, on the other side of the bug, Gu Xinghe and Su Xiaomei were arguing fiercely. It's all your fault for insisting on listening to her and coming to America. It's been a week now, and we still can't find her. What are we going to do about Nan Nan? Aren't you the CEO of Gu Corporation? Can't even handle this. Aren't you ashamed? Gu Xinghe was getting impatient. Can you stop dawdling? Who knows how she just vanished into thin air? You're the one making a scene, not me. Even Fu Ruanruan wouldn't act like such a shrew. Su Xiaomei got so angry that she started fighting with him. Can you stop acting crazy? A loud slap rang out, and Su Xiaomei burst into tears. Gu Xinghe, are you even human? You actually hit me. You're thinking about her good points now. Huh, fine, then go find her and bring her back. Save my son, and I'll make room for you too. Gu Xinghe remained silent for a long time. A sound of fabric tearing came after a moment. A bug, he sneered, his voice cold and vicious through the receiver. Fu Ruan, you're listening, right? Playing with me. Heh, you're quite something. Do you want to experience what happens when you toy with me? I know you haven't returned. You're about a month away from your due date, aren't you? Hide well, give birth in secret, and don't let me find you. Then came a piercing electrical buzz. Fu Rongrong covered her ears and frowned. Sis, Gu Wennan probably won't last a month. Dragging him out won't be a problem. But what about Gu Xinghe? He'll go to any lengths to find us, and I'm afraid he might harm you and my nephew. I glanced at the gun on the wall and smiled. See? Isn't this what he asked for? Gu Wennan died 3 days before her due date. He found out at the hospital. It is said that when he died, his nose was bleeding non-stop, and he weakly cried out, I will never trust you again. Su Xiaomei fainted on the spot. Gu Xinghe shattered the door glass with a single punch. Rongrong Fu is helping me prepare the essentials for childbirth. Sis, all the hospitals are under his control. And I heard Gu Xinghe has already searched the neighboring street. It's just a matter of these 2 days. She probably didn't want me to worry, so she picked up the tiny clothes and held them up to my belly. But don't worry, my dear, your aunt will do whatever it takes, even if it costs me my life, to protect you and your mom. Just as we finished speaking, the landline in the house rang. It was Gu Xinghe. His voice was hoarse. Fu Ruanruan is your twin sister, right? You two are quite good at this body-swapping game. Huh, tell me where you live. I know it was all her idea. I don't blame you, but she killed my son, and I need to ask her face to face. Fu Rongrong snorted disdainfully. You don't blame me. Who do you think you are? I haven't even asked you why you killed my nephew, yet here you are, bold enough to ask me. Gu Xinghe, can't you go ask the dog for your conscience back? Gu Xinghe's voice trembled. Do you believe my family Gu would make you? Shut up already. If it weren't for Grandpa Gu leaving the family fortune to you, you'd be nothing. With your kind of mindset and values, you really bring shame to the Gu family. Furong repeated the words I wrote, each one striking straight at Gu Xinghe's vital point. He hates it most when people say he's good for nothing and only relies on the Gu family. fine, then wait to attend my son's funeral. Fu Rongrong spat out, come on, idiot. The phone call ended. Fu Rongrong went to check the several surveillance cameras installed outside the courtyard. She clapped her hands. Sis, 100 meters radius, 360 degrees, no blind spots. Despite that, my sister and brother-in-law still took turns keeping watch. The night before my due date, they arrived. The baby was kicking inside me, so I couldn't sleep well and went to the living room. In the dim moonlight, the house was dark when Furong and Chiha saw me come out. They shushed me and pointed to the monitor. In the footage, Gu Xinghe and Su Xiaomei, along with over a dozen bodyguards, surrounded my yard. They were wearing sunglasses and wrapped up tightly. Then a few people broke the lock and came in. The door was being pounded loudly. Chihi glanced at me and Fu Rongrong and asked, "Who is it?" Picking up my wife, I replied, "I don't want to go back with you, just leave." Su Xiaomei yelled, trying to provoke me to come out, "Bitch. You killed my son and think you can just get away with it. Come out now, or we're coming in." Fu Rongrong has always been sharp-tongued since she was a child. She has a loud voice and starts yelling across the room, using really filthy language. "Oh, so you're out late at night with someone else's husband, calling her a bitch. Aren't you just the lowest? What are you barking at, dog? Your son deserves to die. Go ask the king of hell." Su Xiaomei was so furious that she was gasping for breath. "You deserve to die, not me. Why are you standing there like an idiot? Break the door down, drag them out. That mouthy bitch, I'm going to slap her to death." When the door was violently slammed, we turned on the camera and shouted at the door, "We've got guns, don't seek death." One of the bodyguards seemed hesitant. "Mr. Gu, we're literally breaking in to kidnap someone here," Su Xiaomei said sarcastically. "If you're scared, get lost. You useless piece of trash," Gu Xinghe pouted. "They're just scared and trying to intimidate people. Shoot, does Fu Wanwan even have the guts for that? Bring Fu Wanwan back today, and I'll buy each of you a villa." The bodyguard's eyes lit up, instantly emboldened by the encouragement, knocking on the door loudly, but they didn't notice Gu Xinghe quietly pulling Su Xiaomei back a step. What if they really have a gun? Fu Nuanyuan wouldn't dare, but her brother-in-law is hard to say. If a fight breaks out, let's stand back a bit. Su Xiaomei's eyes lit up. "True, you thought this through pretty well." Chihi carefully took the gun off the wall. He muttered while wiping the gun barrel, "What a load of crap. This is a shotgun. One shot can take out 10 or 8. If they dare come in, I'll make them a bloody mess." Seeing they wouldn't listen, we had no choice but to hold our guns and look serious in front of the camera. We were sleeping soundly when someone started banging on the door, threatening to kill us. We didn't want to resort to violence, but we had no choice for self-defense. After a violent battering, the door opened. Several people rushed in instantly. The gunshot from Chihi's hand rang out sharply. Sparks flew under the dim yellow light. Several bodyguards were thrown far away and instantly lay motionless on the ground. The few who rushed in later, caught off guard, all fell to the ground after a single gunshot. The off-white floor was smeared with blood and gore, a sea of crimson. Gu Xinghe and Su Xiaomei were stunned to see over a dozen people dead. They both collapsed to the ground. Chihi blew on the smoking barrel of the gun and handed it to me. "Sis, I've saved these 2 main courses for you. When disaster strikes, who isn't afraid of death?" After I aimed the gun at the 2 of them, they both backed away. Su Xiaomei has completely lost her earlier demeanor. She knelt on the ground, her voice trembling with sobs. "I was wrong, Fu Wanwan, please let me go. I just lost my son and lost my mind. Please don't kill me." Gu Xinghe got up, pretending to be calm. "Wanwan, we were wrong, let us go. I won't pursue those people's deaths. Let's just forget about Nan Nan's matter, shall we? We'll call it even." He looked at me, his hand on my belly, his voice trembling. "And as for Wanwan, if you kill me, the child in your belly will have no father." Su Xiaomei seemed to have found a weakness. She stood up and pushed Gu Xinghe forward, whispering softly, "She can't bear to hurt you. Hurry up and grab the gun." Gu Xinghe thought I didn't hear him. He stood up and walked while talking to me. "Let's talk this out. Put the gun down. I know you can't bring yourself to shoot me." Just as he thought he was about to succeed, I pulled the trigger. Indeed, the closer the more accurate. Gu Xinghe's face exploded in an instant. In the moonlight, he lay twisted on the ground, dead in an instant. I stumbled from the recoil of the gun, but luckily Chihi caught me. A sharp pain shot through my abdomen. While the 2 were checking on me, Su Xiaomei quickly got into the car and drove off. Fu Rongrong grabbed the gun to chase after her, but Chihi called her back. I remained silent. "Forget about her. take sister to the hospital first. The baby is about to be born. The baby was born a night earlier than expected. It's a boy. My sister and brother-in-law delivered the baby, like me. Very healthy and lively. I didn't give him the name we had agreed on. Bang. Instead, I called him Fu Xingxing. He is new, and I am new too. The police waited outside the delivery room. My sister Furong handled the negotiations with the police throughout. The surveillance footage and statements from a few onlookers clearly prove that a large group of them broke into our home. Our counterattack was justified. In the US, it's perfectly legal to shoot and kill an intruder during a home invasion. After seeing the police off, Furong Fu still felt a bit unsettled. Too bad that woman got away. I patted her shoulder in consolation. I believe that keeping her alive would be more painful than letting her die, since the child needed to be registered. I returned to the country shortly after birth. Before boarding the plane, both Fu Rongrong and I were wiping away tears. I've caused you so much trouble, and now I've forced you to move again. When are you coming back to China? I'll treat you and your brother-in-law to a meal. Fu Rongrong looked helpless. Sister, we've just settled down here. We don't know what we could do if we go back. Mom's getting older too. I'll make more money for a few more years, and then we'll go back. She put the longevity lock around the newborn's neck and teased him. Little one, make lots of money in the future, and your auntie will depend on you to support her. I waved the baby's tiny hand, speaking in a high-pitched voice. No problem, auntie, I'll work hard. Furong hugged me and sobbed for a long time, finally showing some concern. Sis, you killed the only son of the Gu family. They're definitely going to make things difficult for you. Why don't we call the police now? Let them meet you at the airport and request additional officers for full protection. I glanced down at the newborn in my arms and smiled calmly. One protector like him is enough. He is the only heir of the Gu family. What do I have to fear? Things are going far smoother than I expected. The family elders, though deeply grieved, but after understanding the facts, they realized that no matter how much the family property would all go to the newborns, so they decided to turn a blind eye. I patted this little fellow. It seems your aunt didn't misjudge you. After just a few months, Furong and Chiha returned to China with their family. Both of them had all the necessary certificates and qualifications. I bought them a villa and set up a private maternity hospital. On my mother's birthday, I took the newborn to the hospital to pick them up. The two of them joked with the newborn, smiling all the way back. No, thank you. Passing by the square, a group of elderly people were dancing. The newborn couldn't help but dance in my arms as they listened to the music. If your nephew likes it, let's go take a look. Just as we were stepping onto the stairs, a figure quickly lunged at me. Furong quickly pulled me to the side. The person tumbled down the stairs. Coincidentally, a car was speeding by. The onlookers all gasped in shock. We all rushed downstairs. In the twilight, the person lying on the ground turned out to be Su Xiaomei. Her face was pale, and after a few convulsions, she fell unconscious. The leg was crushed and deformed. It looks very much like my previous life. When I returned home, Furong accused Su Xiaomei of trespassing. She spent a large sum of money to avoid legal proceedings and return home smoothly, but without Gu Xinghe as her protector, her life became precarious. Today, she happened to run into me and, seeing my family in harmony, she wanted to take me down with her. The driver hurriedly got out of the car, called the police, and summoned an ambulance. Later, I heard she became disabled, unable to care for herself, and had to rely on a wheelchair for daily life. Later, I saw her once more. On the day they took the family photo, she was hunched over, struggling to pick up trash. Passers-by pointed and whispered, "This woman used to be quite the celebrity." Later, I heard she faked a divorce with her ex-husband to save her child with leukemia. She tricked another girl into getting pregnant and had her undergo an early C-section to obtain umbilical cord blood. In the end, her son couldn't be saved, her husband died, and she ended up like this again. She really brought this on herself. So people, you must keep your heart right, otherwise, karma will catch up with you. The sky is a brilliant blue. Thank you, Lord, grant me a new life. I looked up. That's the end of today's story. If you've listened this far, please leave happy every day in the comments. Wei Guang wishes everyone happiness every day.